Let's go Dodgers. G, 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 G. Let's go Dodgers. G, 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 G. Let's go Dodgers. Do, 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 do. Got a lot to cover today. Lots to cover. We got a guest today. Hollywood's with us. We got a lot going on. Thanks for tuning in. We're streaming live on YouTube today and not Facebook. Hope you enjoy. Let's talk Dodgers. You guys know what the phone number is. I'll put it on the screen here for you. Right there. And let's talk Dodgers. Because you can't get it on 570. You can call into 570 right now and sit there and wait online forever. Or you can try to call Sportsnet LA. And they don't really have a line for Dodger fans to call. So that's why we do this show. And my name is Tom Wilson. Hollywood, you with me, buddy?
Yes, sir. I'm with you.
All right. So I got my sidekick Hollywood with me. We're going to have a guest today named Brian Robitaille. Not Luke's brother, cousin, or nephew, or uncle, or anything like that. Just the same name, Brian Robitaille. And he writes for Dodgers Nation. And if you don't know who Dodgers Nation is, you're probably not a Dodgers fan. So I'm not even going to explain that. Google it. It's the world we live in now. You don't have to explain a lot of details because people know they can go look for it. Dodgers just won a series again. That means I get to pull out the 76th ball. That's right. The 76th ball flies when the Dodgers win a series. We're 7-5 in series now. We just beat San Diego.
That's 3 in a row.
That is 3 in a row series. You're right. Because we were 2-7-5, which was awful. So, but we beat San Diego. Hollywood, how come I can't get more excited about beating San Diego? What's wrong with me?
Because it's San Diego, man.
I know, but you got to beat the bad teams too.
San Diego's not supposed to compete with the Dodgers. That's why.
Yeah, and honestly, they can't. Do you see them striking out? It's insane.
Yeah, they're a big strikeout. They've hit a few home runs. The young kids have hit a few home runs, and now that's really what they're going to think about is hitting more home runs. You know, they're not going to think about team ball at this age. They're going to think about more home runs.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I don't know. Of course, I can pretty much explain the. Go ahead. I'm going to put this up here, folks, so you can see where to call in, and I'm going to go ahead and announce it on Twitter. You know who their hitting coach is? The Padres.
I do no. Is it Dave Magadan?
No, if it was Dave Magadan, I don't think they'd be striking out this much.
Yeah, he does a big home run.
It is Mark McGwire.
Well.
Does that add up to you for a little bit? I mean, Mark McGwire, big swing. These guys swing like they're on steroids and they're 7 foot tall. I mean, which is fine if you're going to hit 71 home runs, but if you're not on steroids and you're not 7 foot tall, maybe you shouldn't be swinging like that all the time. Good Lord, they strike out all the. And I'm going to give the Dodgers pitchers a little credit because they're doing a good job. But whoa, I've never seen a team just get up there and just flail away like the Padres do. It's really insane. Philly's next. Do you know anything about Philly, Hollywood?
Yeah, absolutely. They got a couple of decent pitchers. Aaron Nola. Thursday's matchup is going to be a fun matchup to watch. I suggest tuning in. Aaron Nola against the return of Clayton Kershaw. It's a really good match. Aaron Nola is one of the most underrated pitchers in the game. He's extremely talented. But and Clayton Kershaw is coming back. Both should be. Clayton Kershaw's perennial All-Star. Been there many, many times. I believe Aaron Nola will be there many, many times as well.
Is that good? I mean, is it what I was kind of daydreaming. Is this? Did he pitch last year?
Aaron Nola, yeah, he was a rookie last year, or maybe in his second year. He's really young. If he pitched the year before, it was a cup of coffee. Last year, I believe it was his first full season, and he was decent up and down. But he pitched really well towards the end of the season. I believe he might even got over 200 strikeouts. I'm not sure about that, but this year he's on fire. He's a stud.
Is he? And nobody. Did you expect Philly to be this good this year? Honestly, tell the truth.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I didn't.
I did not expect him to be this good, but I didn't think Jerry Arrieta would pitch as well for them. I assumed Gabe Kapler would mess that team up. Gabe Kapler's the manager, and I assumed he would mess that team up. And
are they in first place? Am I to understand that right now?
No, they're not. I believe they're in second. I believe they're 29-21 right now. maybe a game out of first or something. They were close to first place, but they're only 5-5 in their last 10 games as well. They're not a powerhouse team. They've got a few really good players, but they're not going to make they're not a World Series contender. They're a playoff contender, but not a World Series contender.
Okay, but we're playing them. Is that that's a home game? So we're playing them 4 at home.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess I still feel like even though the records are what they are, I still feel like the Dodgers need to beat that team in a series, especially at home.
Oh, absolutely. The Dodgers should be able to. I've said that quite a few times this year, and then too right. But the Dodgers should be able to handle them. Their bullpen is kind of. I believe it's messed up, and I believe it's because of Gabe Kapler and the way he uses it. He uses his bullpen like you're in a short playoff series. I mean, he'll bring relief pitchers in the 5th inning. Aaron Nola, first game of this year, was lights out opening day, and Gabe Kapler pulls him at like 5 1/3 innings. He's got like 60 pitches or something, and no runs given up, and then brings in a reliever.
I wonder what that logic was, or was he just high?
I can't remember what I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't sound logic by no means.
No, but man, Walker Buehler, whoa, hello, bing
Love
bing,
that guy.
Yeah,
love that guy.
Off to the races, man. Hitting the ground running.
Yeah.
I saw Kershaw. I saw Kershaw come up in 2008, and he wasn't. I'm not saying he's as good as Kershaw, but he wasn't. He didn't start off this good. But, this guy's on fire right away.
And since his part of being that no hitter, he's only had 2 walks in his last 5 starts, man. I mean, his ridiculous control, man, and that's so awesome, man. Yeah.
Well, cool. All right. So Philly's coming up. We just beat San Diego. We're 5-7-5 in series play, so we're rounding that around. We're.
Hey, one more thing about Philly. They have a hitter on their team, Reese Hoskins. I'm not sure who knows about him or whatever, but he would have been Rookie of the Year last year had it not been for Bellinger. Bellinger obviously was unanimous Rookie of the Year, but Reese Hoskins, he came up and he hit a ton of home runs in a short amount of at bats. And as we all know, everybody's fascinated about a home run, me included.
Mm-hmm. Not fair enough.
Yeah. So he would have been a Rookie of the Year had it not been for Bellinger. So he's pretty good. He hasn't played very well this month. But watch out for Reese Hoskins, Odubel Herrera, Mr. On Base. He's always on base. He just actually ended a streak at 40-something games or whatever on base streak, and that ended. That's controversial. Anyways.
Yeah, but he's having a little sophomore slump too, huh?
Actually not, but we can get to him later.
All right. Talkin Blue Live. Who's calling?
Hey, Tom. It's Frank Talk LA.
Frank Talk LA, man. What's going on? How are you?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm fine. We took 2 out of 3 against San Diego, which is nice, and we're heading a series with a good team, which I think is going to be probably, in my feeling, the first real test of who this team really is. We're settled in now. It's early in this. It's not. We can't say it's early in the season anymore. We played 50 games roughly, so I'm looking at this series coming up here to be kind of a real indicator as who the Dodgers are. Yourself?
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, the Phillies are playing well. They've got young talent, and I mean, it might be a good test for the Phillies as well. On the other side.
Yes, and, I think you're right. On the road,
decent test for Clayton as well, coming back on Thursday. How do you feel about that, Tom?
I don't know. I'm honestly, I'm feeling like my expectations are super low. He's such a big competitor. I mean, it's like you're never going to get an indication from him about what to expect because he's always going to be like, I'm going to be the best pitcher on the mound.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
So
he thinks that and he believes that.
Yeah, because he has been that too. So
right.
That's why. Right. How about yourself? I mean, what are your? It's about expectations for me on something like that. So
yeah, I was actually thinking about tweeting something out like that. I hadn't done it yet, but for the first time in a really long time, my sentiment about a Kershaw start is not. It doesn't have the excitement that it normally carries. Just because we don't know. I mean, if he comes back and he's still hovering around 91 miles an hour on his fastball velocity, and he's having to throw that slider much more often than he's ever had to, is he going to be as effective as he can be? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think like I said, for me, it's going to be all about my expectations. And the first time in a long time with Kershaw pitching, I'm going to keep my expectations really low. He's coming off an injury. I think if he were to go, he wouldn't be happy with 5 innings. But if he were to go 6 innings and give up 3 runs, I'd kind of be okay with it. And I've never really felt that way about that with Kershaw before.
So did you read anything about keeping him with Kershaw? Did you read anything about? I saw something about how the Dodgers and the technology they use, and I'm sure they're not the only team, but where they use that kind of X-ray technology, where they'll overlay a pitcher throughout his entire delivery, and it'll demonstrate any mechanical changes or mechanical issues that could be causing potential injuries, and that's what they did with Kershaw, and apparently discovered something mechanical causing him to, in his own words, work on mechanics or focus on mechanics for the first time in a very long time.
No, I haven't read that, but I'm always skeptical of stuff like that because I know because even, how do I say this? It's a very hopeful thing that you can just magically figure out something that has been the cause of this whole thing, because you never just want to say, well, gee, the guy's getting old. And,
sure.
Like I'm not diminishing Kershaw. He's 30 years old. He's still young. He might have 5 more Cy Young years in him. I don't know. I don't think so. But I'd be cool. I mean, I believe in technology can help us figure things out in life. And I know what you're talking about. They would get a mound shot when he was young and his mechanics were good, and then they would overlay it literally like a ghosting over the top of it, and then they would try to look for the differences. Is that what you're saying? That sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, it's all going to. I think we'll know a lot in the first inning, second inning.
Yeah.
Comes out and struggles in that inning, then the cost for concern is real, and then, but you also on the flip side, man, Kershaw could come out and just wow us, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, what were we worried about?
Exactly. I'm gonna look real dumb but I guess I won't look dumb because I'm not making any predictions. That's one thing I've learned about baseball is,
right,
as soon as I predict something, I'm this close to being wrong, and although I like being wrong because when I'm wrong, I find that I learn things. If I'm always right, then I don't learn anything. So
indeed, no, that's the best approach. I agree.
How'd you feel about the San Diego? What's your nutshell on the San Diego series that your that your takeaway is on that series?
I want to be excited about the pitching for sure. I mean, Stripling looked fantastic on Friday night, and obviously Buehler tonight with. I mean, it looks like every start is his best start yet. I think the Kenley looked great. But it is a little measured because, after all, it's the Padres, and they have a couple good hitters in their lineup, but they're still not anything near a powerhouse lineup by any means. And so like you mentioned earlier, the Philly series is going to be one to watch, and let's see how the pitching holds up. Wood obviously didn't look good last night. He didn't look as good as he can. He gave up 5 runs, and probably a couple of those maybe weren't all on him, but
yeah,
certainly, by comparison, he certainly paled compared to Stripling and now Buehler today.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see who Stripling really is. I mean, he certainly looks good lately, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, that curveball has got much more bite on it. It's almost a new pitch for him. I mean, it's not totally new, but it acts different. And
he's also controlling it like most pitchers control a fastball. Usually fastballs are a control pitch, and wow, he's throwing that thing inside and out like it's a fastball, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, indeed, it's neat, and I'm excited about the series. I'm excited about what that'll bring, and then have you seen the score yet? I haven't checked, but I know the Diamondbacks were losing in the 9th inning again today.
Wow, really? No, I have not seen.
They were down a run today, so I don't know if the A's finished them off, but my gosh, what a collapse. they've almost matched, I think, the Dodger collapse from, well, not collapse, but the Dodger, frozen cold streak from last summer.
Wow, I know that. Oh man, wasn't that brutal? Hey, look on your. Are you on? Can you see us on the screen right now?
Not at the moment. I actually called in today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, then I got something on the screen here. It's a list of. It's a list, and I want you to guess what this list is. It's only two. There's only two things on the list. Okay. What is this a list of? 2004, Adrian Beltre, 48. 2011, Matt Kemp, 39. What is that a list of?
Oh, that's a list of Dodgers to lead the NL in home runs.
Sweet. That's right. That's Frank Talk LA at Buenos Baseball. Good job, man. I mean, of all of our stuff that we've done, as far as Dodgers go, it's always pitching related. It seems weird that we've only led the National League, Los Angeles Dodgers, twice in home runs.
Well, I mean, the Dodger Stadium is a pitcher's park, especially at night. We all know about the marine layer and all that. It's being a pitcher's park. It lends itself to good pitching, and the front offices over the years have always lended themselves or always strategically formed the team around that concept of strong pitching, good defense, and small ball offense over the years. Obviously, lately it's been a little different, but
and if that little list is not an indicator of exactly what you're just talking about, the Dodgers being built on pitching, and they have been my whole life, then that's that's a pretty good not off the scale indicator. Two guys have led in home runs, and I heard a guy the other day, I can't remember who tweeted it or said it. It was Bellinger hit one to the wall, and someone put on the tweet, I think, Bellinger just got marine layered. And I've never heard that.
I did see that as well. Yeah, I forgot who said it, but I saw it.
That's pretty good. That's exactly what happens out there sometimes.
Well, think about, for all of Bellinger's struggles, and it was nice to see him really connect on one today. And not his moonshot uppercut swing type. That was a nice swing tap through the zone, straightaway center.
Yeah.
That was really nice to see from Cody. But what I was going to say is, if Cody was playing first base for the New York Yankees and had all of his home games in Yankee Stadium, I mean, we probably wouldn't be recognizing these struggles. He fit right in with the strikeouts there.
Right.
But I mean, he'd probably have double the amount of home runs that he has right now.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure. The Dodger Stadium, even now with all the changes and taking away a lot of foul territory with seating and doing the things they have with the stadium, it's still a pitcher's park, and it's hard. It's not the best park for hitters. So you're right about that. In fact, last year when we were hitting all those home runs, I was like, wow, we're doing this in a pretty tough stadium.
Yeah, that's one of the obviously we know many reasons why 2017 was such a special year, and seemed like it was gonna have the finale for it, but it fell just short. But yeah, that leading the NL in home runs by far, and so many people hitting so many of them.
Not really
an anomaly, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Not really Dodger-like at all. I don't think they need to do that to win either. Well, folks, that's Frank from Let's Be Frank Pod. Let's Be Frank Pod. Is that right? At Let's Be Frank Pod.
Yeah, Let's Be Frank Pod on Twitter with Baseball Frank and myself, Frank Talk LA.
Is Baseball Frank, is he still out there doing his thing?
Baseball Frank, his weekends have him tied up with work usually, so kind of made a little deal that I might call in on weekends. Maybe he'll be calling in during the week.
Well, that's cool. Well, I always appreciate it. You know how I feel about this show being a voice for kind of outsider fans? I mean, I can sit and watch the broadcast, and I can sit and watch or listen to the radio, and I can almost predict what these guys are going to say because I know what they're not going to say. And the nice thing about having kind of an outsider voices is I can't always predict what you're going to say because it's, your job doesn't rely upon what you say. All of us have other, occupations, other things we do.
Yeah. I mean, no disrespect to the guys like on 570, but the hosts there, they're only gonna go so far within the box that they're allowed to.
Yeah, and if I'm working there, I'm gonna do the same thing they do. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna bite the hand that feeds me. But there is a room for this now in this world, and I'm really glad to have you guys be a part of it. So, anything else, bud?
No, that's it. Just want to call in, touch base, another series win.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, when we were really struggling, and what I feel was the lowest point of the season, that's all I wanted was like, let's just get back to where we can win some series. You know what I mean? String together. I like what you do. I see the tweet and the Facebook post where you post the series record, or, you know, the Dodgers record in series over the season.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think, a really nice way to indicate how a team is performing.
I agree.
If you're winning series consistently, at the end of the season, you're going to be right where you want to be.
Yeah, and those are habits and patterns that matter. You know, it's not like we won 25 straight and then we lost a bunch straight. You can predict. You go to the playoff games and World Series. I haven't done this. Maybe some statistician out there can, but you look at the teams that were consistently winning series throughout the season. And I'm not going to guarantee, but I almost guarantee that they were doing it during the season too. You know, so. All right, bud. I'm going to clear up the line. Thanks for calling.
All right, Tom. See you.
All right, Frank. See you. Hollywood.
Hey, kid, I have a horrible connection with my phone right here. Can you hang up and call me right back? Because it is choppy.
Yeah, I'll call you right back. And Dodger fans, the other line is open. And feel free to give it a buzz. I'm just giving Hollywood another chance. I got all kinds of phones that ring in here. Love it. Dodger fan. Is that better?
Yes, it sounds better to start with.
All right. Well, we'll do it again if not. Talkin Blue Live. Who's calling?
Yeah.
Hi, Talkin Blue Live. This is Filbert.
Filbert.
Calling in to check in. How you doing?
Well, I missed you on the last show, but I'm glad to have you on this one. How are you doing, buddy?
Well, that was awful late for me.
Yeah, I hear you. It was late. It was late for me too. I'm not gonna lie. It was late for me too. Phil, folks. Phil is the guy who does the Dodger Dog, talking the Dodger Blue, the Dodger Dog. And before you get going, Phil, I just want to do a couple things on this, and then we'll get to wrapping. Is that cool?
That's absolutely fine.
So I got Blue on the screen right now, and he's so happy. We won our third series in a row, and life is good. And Blue is also going on about town here. Some of these recent comings and goings of Blue. He was out at the shortstop, and I've heard that I'm not gonna. These are rumors. I've heard he's got thrown out of there a couple times. That's not up for me to say. But he says
it hasn't really resulted in a criminal record yet. Close.
But he says it's a great place to hang out with other Dodger fans after the game. Plus, service dogs drink free. And then I'm gonna zip through a couple of these because you weren't here last week, and you know how I feel about Blue. I love Blue. So so Blue is also out at Felipe, and the original has been a Dodger fan pregame tradition since Dodger Stadium opened in the neighborhood back in the day, and that's true. I highly suggest the roast beef, double dipped. Woof. Yeah, I bet he likes the roast beef.
Oh, he loves.
I bet he likes the roast beef, and then
he likes some potato salad too.
Oh yeah, Blue likes potato salad. Doesn't it give him gas?
He does, but he doesn't care about that.
He doesn't care. All right.
You know, that's other people's problem.
And then Blue, I've seen Blue and Ron fighting at the counter to see who's next. Ron Cervenka, but Blue goes to the counter and he says, "It just doesn't get better than this unless you go animal style. Am I right?" Woof. Yeah, he loves the In-N-Out. And who doesn't love In-N-Out? We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
And then Blue is out
Ron
here.
will chime in on that.
Say that again.
Ron will chime in on that.
Oh yes, he will. And the double. Give me double. All right. So then we got the Adventures of Blue, the Dodger Dog, and this one I thought was really clever. Sometimes the simplest ones get me. Blue, you stink. What? That's probably meant for me. I actually do stink. The umpire's saying, which is pretty fun. I never really thought about Blue being the umpire as well.
You've been around the game a long time, and you know when people yell, "Hey, Blue, you blew that one."
Yeah.
You know, they're talking to the umpire.
Hey,
Blue, that's,
I actually, to tell you the truth, my wife thinks I'm crazy, but I actually, I actually applaud the umpires when they come out onto the field the first time before the game starts. When they come out, you'll see me, and I'm like, yep. because you can't play without the umpire. They get a lot of crap. They get a lot, and when they do good, it's just accepted because that's what you're supposed to get when you're at home. They only get noticed when they do something wrong. And I just really appreciate a well umpired game. I don't see it as, well, that's expected. And I actually take notice when umpires do a good job. And I want them to do a good job, which is why I applaud them when they come out. So then here's Blue. Last night's $1 Dodger Dog promotion opened a condiment controversy. Well, being somewhat of a self-proclaimed expert on the subject, let me tell you the Dodger Dog rules. 1, get grilled, not steamed. 2, any and all condiments are acceptable. 3, if you're doing it right, several napkins will be required. 4, bites should only be taken between pitches. Be respectful of those around you. Burps should be well regulated. Enjoy. Go Dodgers. Woof. So
Yeah.
So that's the last a bunch of Blue, and the fella that's on the line here right now is the creator of Blue, and I'm always glad to hear your call. So take it away, buddy. What do you got to say, Dodger fan?
Well, I just want to chime in a little bit on the Dodger Dog controversy. And the reason this was so cool, because the Dodgers did a promotion for $1 Dodger Dogs the other night. I think it was Monday night. And so of course, everyone was having a great time buying their Dodger Dogs. But it brings up the old controversy of, do you put ketchup on a hot dog? Now, if you're in Chicago, and I know this for a fact, if you try to put ketchup on a hot dog, they'll punch you in the nose. It's just verboten. So that was kind of a thing that we were having a lot of fun with online. Is what do you put on your Dodger Dog? And you know what? You can do anything you want to a Dodger Dog, and it is still the best darn hot dog you're ever going to eat. So Blue has no standard. He's not going to tell you yes or no, except to say that in the movie Bad News Bears, and I think it was in the second one, they're all having hot dogs, and somebody says, hey, the only people who put ketchup on hot dogs are mental patients in Texas. And I always laugh so hard at that, just because.
They might put barbecue sauce, but I don't know.
What's that?
Texans might put barbecue sauce on, but I don't know about ketchup.
Oh, you know what? I have no problem with that. You can put mayonnaise. Some people put mayonnaise.
Man, peanut butter? How do you feel about peanut butter?
Hey, that's something. If the hot dog's really hot and the peanut butter melts.
No.
That might be. I don't know. I'm not gonna say no.
It's true. I mean, I am one of those people that says, do as you wish. Whatever you want to. I mean.
So anyways, that was a lot of fun. We got a lot of feedback from Dodger fans, and that's part of what makes baseball so much fun.
Yeah. Blues.
So,
go.
But as far as this Padres series goes, what's to complain about? We kind of had a rough night last night, but hey, we bounced back. We won a game. And let me ask you a question, Tom. Is Dodgerland concerned with Alex Wood?
I don't think so. I mean,
okay.
He had a bad outing. I mean, the problem with a lot of sports fans nowadays is they have what I call the football mentality, which is there's 16 games, and everything is the end of the world, or everything is the best thing in the world. And people who really do follow baseball understand you're going to lose some games. So no, I don't know why anyone would be worrying about him right now, honestly.
Okay, great answer, because I agree with you. That's why it's a great answer, is because I agree with you.
Yes, I understand.
No, you're absolutely right. I think that's now you have to see. I'm one of those people who have been preaching, to the fan base, through what limited means I have, is that, hey, this is the very same team that won 104 games last year. This is at its core, this is a very, very good team. But that said, we look at an individual like Alex Wood, who, he hadn't lost at this point last year. So we're looking at that and going, well, that's a difference. That's a difference between last year and this year, is that,
Alex Wood isn't nearly as dominant as he has been in the previous season.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the reason why I throw up a little bit of a red flag. I don't think Alex Wood has to go 16-0
No.
in order to prove his worth. He's a fine there's not a rotation in the league that wouldn't want him.
Well, yeah, that's true. And I knew last year was an anomaly, and I think everybody probably, but he believed last year was he's not going to think that. But last year when I don't know what he started out, 14-2 or whatever it was some ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
That is truly an anomaly, and if you expect it to happen again, then you're just not being a realistic baseball fan. So
yeah, I agree. So anyway, the thing I'm taking away from this series is that we took 2 of 3. We won a series. That's all we want to do. I don't care who we're playing, whether it's the worst team in the league or the best team in the league. We want to, leave that series taking 2 out of 3 every time. And
yes.
If you can do that, like the caller before said, baseball, Frank, is that we're gonna be where we want to be at the end of the season if we can continue to take 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I mean, last year the World Series team, the team that won the World Series, lost 3 games in the World Series. They lost 3 games, and
That's right.
So you're gonna lose. They're gonna lose in baseball.
Yeah. Well, all I can say is that I'm real happy that we did pull out. This series is better than the alternative we've seen worse. The team, Max Muncy's a blast. I mean, come on.
Isn't he a trip?
It was nice to see Cody hit one out today. Matt Kemp has been. Blue just did a cartoon about Matt Kemp as MVP.
Yeah, I missed. Who would have thunk that one?
Well, Blue, he's a Matt Kemp, supporter. Look, this guy has come along. I don't think there's a Dodger fan out there who was, thrilled that we had re-signed Matt Kemp.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't lie about something like that. I was like, oh my God, what are we doing? And I thought he's not going to be around. Don't worry about it. Well, this is why I don't try not to make predictions because I'm just wrong all the time when I do.
But isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
That's what he's done.
Yes, and I really appreciate him as a player now more. I see much more of a. I see someone who really much more appreciates the game more than a guy that I thought he was before. He appreciated himself before, I thought, but now I really think he really does. He plays like he really appreciates the game. It's just maturity. It happens to all of us. If you're young, and you can look at me and say, "Well, you're just."
I think that's one of the things that the Dodger fans in the stands right now are reacting to.
Yeah.
He went to San Diego. He went to Atlanta, and he went, "I'd rather be a Dodger,"
Right.
And I think that's. I think that really resonated with it. I can tell you this. I was fortunate enough for the first time in my life, I was able to check out the Dodgers in spring training. I was able to get down to Glendale, Arizona, and go see the Dodgers at Camelback Ranch. And one of the first things that I saw was I got to hang around the cage where Justin Turner, Yasmani Grandal were taking BP with Matt Kemp. Kemp was hitting everything on the nose.
Yeah.
It was just going. Tom, I'm not kidding. You've watched BP, but every freaking pitch that he got went straight up the middle, about 400 feet at least. And he had a smile on his face. He was kidding around with the other guys, and it just looked like here is a guy who is just happy to be home. He's happy to be on this team. He has a chance to go and play deep into October, and I think he finally gets it. He finally knows, and I just it's a pleasure to watch.
Agree so much, and I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see a lot of the maturity that is happening on that team. Puig would be another one of them. So, all right. Well, what do you think? Shall we wrap it up and leave another line for someone?
Oh no, you let the next fan come in and say their piece. I said mine.
All right.
Thank you so much, Tom, for what you guys are doing in Hollywood. You're the best. we love you guys. Just keep it up.
Thank you so much, Phil. And thanks
All
for
right.
Blue.
Thank you, Phil.
Woof.
All right.
Go Blue.
Go Blue. That's Blue. Blue the Dodger dog. I just can't believe how fun this is. I mean, this winning series after series after series is just like, I mean, when we get to the World Series, we're going to be so prepared. We're going to be ready to go and just, sorry. That wasn't me. So the line's open right there. And you right there, if that's fingers pointing at you, then you can call. It's just talking baseball. Ross Porter told me, just tell fans they're just talking baseball. They don't got to be nervous. It's just baseball. They're not talking science here or anything real important. We're just talking about a game that we love. So Hollywood, anything trip your trigger on that last one?
Well, just that Alex Wood last year started off 14-1 with a 2.3 ERA, and that was on August 16th. He was 14-1 with a 2.3 ERA. Yeah, people just don't do that year in, year out. That's that is an anomaly.
But he's doing very well this year. I mean, I know his record and some of those numbers don't indicate it, but I'm watching him. He's still doing fine. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, to compare it to those numbers from last year, those are such outliers for any pitcher.
Yeah.
Unless you're Kershaw or Scherzer or one of those guys. But those are so few and far in between, man. And they might only happen a couple times in their career.
Exactly. I hear you. All right, Dodger fans. I'm going to put this up for a second because the line's open. Blue says call. Blue says, you know what? If you're a Dodger fan and you have a call to make and you got a point, or even if you don't have a point, put a hat on. It'll cover your point up. Now to joke about pointy heads. What I'm really saying is go ahead and call 323-664-5431. Oh, yes, I am. I just got a call here. Let me come over here now. Hollywood, tell me something about baseball. I got to do something on the side real quick.
Okay, I want to talk about Cody Bellinger for a second because he's frustrating me. So I'm not going to try to get negative, but I just do want to give some numbers on this guy, man. Against San Diego, he was 1 for 9, hit a home run, and that was a 9th inning home run when his team was up 4-1, or bottom of the 8th inning home run. His team's up 4-1. At that point, he hits a 2-run homer to take Kenley Jansen out of a save situation, which, if you don't play fantasy baseball, not a big deal. But the fantasy side of me didn't like it.
Selfish.
But
selfish.
Either way, against Colorado, he was 1 for 9.
Yeah.
Against Washington, he was 1 for 14 with a home run. Against Miami, he was 2 for 10. He has 2 base hits in that series. So, it's very frustrating right now to watch his very large swing. But it's very nice, and I'm going to flip side of this coin real quick. It's very nice to see JT back and the way his attitude is, the way his personality is. And the guy's got so much charisma, man. He's very charismatic, and the smile that he brings to the team and just the excitement and the style with which he plays. He's a lot of fun to watch, man. Whether you're a fan of his team or not, I believe you have to like JT. He's got that likability to him, man. I
agree, but that haircut, it's not like my dad right now. What's with that haircut? I don't really care how he cuts his hair. He could do anything, but I can't quite figure that hair out. He cut it because he was getting married, the beard and the hair. No, it's got to be since he got this new haircut. Is like he went into the blind guys. Okay, here's your oh yeah, you could use a little bit of. Hold on, let me get that. And then the guy just started cutting his hair. Listen, I don't care how he cuts his hair. I really don't. But I can't not say something. It's just the craziest haircut I've ever seen. But as long as he hits, I don't care what he does. And even if he doesn't hit, I don't care what he does, to tell you the truth. In fact, I don't care what he does.
He's got this charisma about him, man.
He does.
When he's in the dugout, he's with the team. You can see in the way he jokes with other players, the way he jokes with umpires. It's just something about his personality being on that team that it's a difference maker. It's intangible. I hate to use that because, but there's intangibles in the sport, and he brings those intangibles.
He does for sure. Now let's go back to Cody Bellinger real quick, because the thing is, I've noticed, not just you, but some people just got a little sour on him, because kind of ever since he didn't run that ball out, and then kind of his reaction to it, and then even Oral Hershiser, the guys announcing on TV, or comment about, look, he's got to have a secondary swing. Just for the team, you gotta get up there and play pepper when there's a couple strikes, or for yourself, for your own dignity, man. Make some contact. You're gonna be okay. You got power. You're strong. You're young. But it's exactly that thing, that he's young, that I just know, because I was young once too. It's gonna that kind of frustration that builds when you're young like that. It manifests itself in a way, generally speaking, where you get more aggressive and you fight more against yourself. And I just believe that a good coach, or his dad played baseball, so I don't know what's going on, but I'm sure his dad, knows about hitting, but it's just, you're young, you're inside yourself. And let me ask you this: would you think that trading Bellinger is a good idea?
No, not at all.
There you go. I don't.
First of all, his value. You couldn't get the return on what he's capable of producing. What we know he can produce. You're not going to get that same return for him.
You're not. So. You're not. And plus, you'd be trading at the bottom of the market. But,
yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. So let me just real quick here. So I did the question of the day with Frank. Okay, so now I'm going to do who played the most years as the team's primary left fielder. In other words, you can have, say, Davey Lopes played like, I can't remember, but like 8-9 years he was the second baseman for the Dodgers for that many years. Third base, I can't remember who it was. Gil Hodges.
Ron Say at third base for 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years, and then Gil Hodges for like 13 years. So now let's go to left field. Who was the primary left fielder for the Dodgers the most years? Do you have any idea, Hollywood?
Oh yeah, I do, but I've already.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll put it out. I'll put it out. I forgot. You do know. I'll put it out there for fans. If you know the answer to that question, call in. And if you do know the answer to that question, and you call in, and then I will probably. Maybe one of you, if you call in, I'll give you that. Maybe. I'll decide. I don't have to commit to nothing, because I don't work for anybody here at this joint. Hold on.
Yeah.
Talkin Blue Live. Who is it?
Hi, this is Dorothy from Studio City.
Dorothy from Studio City. Dorothy the Dodger fan.
Yes, Dorothy the friend of Dodger Cat.
Dodger Cat. Okay.
Yes. I'm big on sports psychology. And you were just talking about Cody Bellinger, and I was watching Jock Peterson today, but earlier, as I was watching Walker Buehler, I went, oh gosh, I hope he doesn't have this absolutely fantastic season, and then the following year, where did it go? Remember, Jock Peterson went to the All-Star game, and then we had this long period of him not doing well, and, Cody, what do you have to say about?
Well, I think you bring up a very interesting point. You just made me think of something that I've never thought of before, and for that, I appreciate you calling. But what you made me think of is, when hitters start off, like you brought up Jock, and I can think of a lot of other examples of guys that come up and they just do great their first year, and they're just ripping the ball. And then there's the old idea that the league pitchers figure out what this guy can't hit, and they won't throw it to him anymore. Like right now, Bellinger's not seeing a low fastball.
Right.
Pay attention. If he does see it, he still hits it, but he's not seeing it. So, but now you talked about Buehler, and it just occurred to me that doesn't really happen to pitchers so much, does it? I mean, rarely do you see a young pitcher come up and do real well, and then somehow the league figures him out, and he starts faltering. it seems to me that pitchers don't fall prey to the league figuring them out somehow, and I don't think. And I don't turn your computer down, Dorothy Dodger fan.
Yeah, I'm trying to do it. Go
That's
ahead.
okay, but it seems to me that pitchers don't fall prey to that. I'd be interested, Hollywood. What's your feeling about that thing?
That's a very good call. And right now I'm doing a little research on that, so I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Yeah, because it does seem to me, and your concern was Bueller, Dorothy, that it seems to me that pitchers, I wouldn't fret about something like that happening to a young pitcher, like I would a Jock, or now we're going through this with Cody a little bit, about a young player kind of having to adjust and readjust and adjust and readjust. It seems like a pitcher being the one in pitching and hitting, one athlete is taking action and the other one is reacting, and it seems like the one reacting is the one that has to make the adjustment.
Or could it be that you need such a strong ego to be a pitcher that you're not prey to those sorts of thoughts that might, impinge on you as a hitter if you don't start off as well as you might have previously?
I think that's a totally fair point. I do. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how you'd study that either, but I do think it's certainly a valid point. If I were a general manager, I might consider something like that when I was evaluating players.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome. Call back.
I will. Thank you.
All right, Dorothy from Studio City. I don't know, Hollywood. I don't know if you were here last time. We had Paris, we had Mexico, we had like 3 different countries call in, which was Dodger fans, which is one of the beauties of the internet, which is fun. Studio City.
Yeah, I wasn't on that show, but I did listen to it, and I found that fascinating as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh boy. Well, hang on. Were you going to? I want to finish that point with you, Hollywood. What she just brought up, which was a really good point.
I found nothing on it yet, though.
Yeah, Talkin Blue. Hello.
Hey, Tom. Ron Cervanka here.
Ron Cervanka. Ron, how are you? Did Ron? We're doing YouTube now every now. You were with it. You were.
I know we did it once. I didn't know we were doing it all the time now. So.
Yeah. Well, it's not all the time. I'm going to bounce back and forth and kind of see where I'm picking up the best, picking up more Dodger fans. So I'm still evaluating that.
I get that. Yeah.
So
I was downstairs for the Docs post game scrum, and also the Winners of the Clubhouse had a gathering around Walker Bueller regarding his excellent outing.
Yeah.
And he says he feels great. This kid is really smart.
Vanderbilt. Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. And but he is just amazing. He's wise beyond his years. When you talk to him, it's like, here we go. The first couple of times I spoke with Blake Kirk, it was like this. It's like you're talking to a guy that's been around for a long time, and he's only been around for not even a full season. So, But it was really good. Interesting. One of the questions asked of Roberts during his interview was, who does Walker Bueller most remind you of from your playing days? And there was zero hesitation. Doc said Tim Lincecum.
Oh, why?
The structure, the pitch. He says Tim had a better two-finger split fastball than Walker, but he says just the velocity, the movement of the ball. He says that's what he reminds him of. And of course, a lot of Dodger fans aren't too fond of Tim Lincecum, but you got to give the kid Tim credit. He was a heck of a pitcher. So.
Well, it's funny about Tim Lincecum when he first came up. Tim Lincecum had a motion like a guy who was throwing the ball. When you catch a ball in center field, say, and you're throwing out a guy at home, you have such a long stride, and you're really reaching, and you're extending, and you're reaching out, and he threw like an outfielder throwing from the outfield. And I told some of my Giant friend fans, I said, you know what? He's a great pitcher. He's going to be a great pitcher. But when he falls off the face of the earth, it's going to be fast. Because you can't be a 32, 31-year-old man and throw like that. You could be 24, 25, 26, 27 and exert that kind of pressure on a body. I would say I'm not going to disagree with Roberts by any stretch of the imagination on anything baseball related because he knows more than I do. But I don't see that exertion that in Bueller. I see much more control and a much more under control, body mechanic than with Lincecum. I could see Bueller the way he throws now. I could see him throwing into his 32nd, 33rd year. Lincecum I knew was going to be done fast and probably when he hit his 30s. I don't know how old he was when he finally wrapped it up, but I don't think it was much over 30 years old.
Yeah, I believe you're right. Yeah, I don't know what the exact number is either, but I don't think it was. He tried to stretch it out a little bit longer, and it just didn't work. He was done.
Yeah, he was going to, and you could tell by the way he threw the ball, he was going to be done by then. So Philly's coming up, Ron. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I asked Roberts in the pregame media interview brief if he felt that the Phillies manager had any kind of an advantage having been the Dodgers director of player development.
Gabe Kapler.
And the doc said that he thinks that he might have some advantage, but he doesn't think it's going to be a big advantage. And it's funny, after that, one of my Twitter followers tweeted out, "We'll see." And I, you know what, I attended a lot of games, a lot more Quakes games over the last couple of years than I have this year. Just been doing a lot of different things, but I saw Gabe there almost every game he was there. And we're talking about when Belly was there. I think Corey was already gone, but Bellinger was there. A couple of these other guys, Verdugo was there. So not that Alex Verdugo is with the big club anymore, but I suspect that he's got some inside skinny on these kids. How they hit a fastball, or if they hit a fastball up and in or out and away or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see.
Well, and the other thing is, I'm not a huge fan of Gabe Kapler, but when he was on Welcome Back, Kotter, I thought he was pretty good. Nobody's laughing. Got to be.
The one thing that Doc did give credit to the Phillies, he says they have a phenomenal pitching staff. That's why the Phillies are.
Well, that's what Hollywood was saying. So that's going to be an interesting test, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's not Nava or Nava. I think it is pronounced. He's apparently just an ace. I don't know if you saw it. How could you not see it or have heard it by now? The Dodgers have named their starter for Thursday.
Yeah.
Some guy named Clayton Kershaw.
I've never heard of him.
That's pretty exciting.
I don't know who he is.
You don't know who he is?
No. Out of sight, out of mind with me, pal. You can't stay on the team all year long. Screw you. If you're going to go running off with some sort of bad tendon or something, people go do all kinds of things with bad tendons. And now he wants to come back and pitch on Thursday? I don't think so.
I wonder what Don Drysdale would do with a bad tendon.
I don't know. He'd spit on it. He'd chew it out of his arm. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, I'm very excited about seeing that young man pitch on Thursday.
Yeah, I got to just in passing said, hey, Clayton, how's it going? And he was all smiles. And when things aren't going well with Clayton, it's a real good idea to be in like another room.
Yeah, I can. You can tell.
He's his own worst critic, and when things aren't going well, he pretty much wears it on his sleeve. So he was all smiles. So when you see that, and then you get the news, I'm hoping that we have that the season is finally going to begin for Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, I am too. Hey, listen, I don't want to cut you short because you know how much I value you being part of the show, but I got to get scooting because I got a guy named Brian Robitaille coming on here, and he's going to talk about all-time. He did a little survey with Dodger fans of talking about all-time Dodger team, and if you'd watch it, I'd be interested to hear your take on it next time you're on the show.
Well, I got to. It's wrapping up here, and the kids just got done running the bases. So.
All right. Well, you can you can watch it on YouTube later on. So. All right.
All right.
Thanks, Ron.
Good talking with you guys, and we'll be in touch. Hollywood, hope everything is well with you guys and you all, and we'll talk to you later.
All right. Be good.
All right. Thank you, Ron.
All right, Hollywood. Listen, I'm going to call up. Okay, Brian Robitaille. I've never called anyone, so let me try this here. This might get loud. Let me try it like this.
Okay.
You got to dial 1 when you. I think you do.
No, just the 10 digits, man.
We're sorry.
Oh, shut up. Don't tell me you're sorry. You're not sorry at all. Right.
We're sorry.
Wow. All right. I'm going to try this one more time.
It doesn't know how to use a phone.
Oh, it's this phone. All right, Ryan, here's the deal. Brian Robitaille, you're listening. Call this number when you get a chance. 323-664-5431. If another fan calls in before then, I'm going to make them go away. I'm sorry, buddy. I should have tested that first, but that's what you get. But you did get a lot of great Dodger fan calls. Anyway, go ahead. Brian, call in, buddy. I'm going to put it up here on the line again. Hollywood, shoot.
Okay, I'm just saying while we're waiting for him, we can go over a couple of these players who had pretty good 1 years and then fell off. Let's start with Mark Pryor.
Yeah, well, hold on a second. No, that's a good one. Hold on. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Talkin Blue Live.
Hey, Tom, it's Brian.
Oh, hey, Brian. Sorry about that, man.
No, it's all good. How's it going?
It's good. It's good. So I know we're good here. We got Brian Robitaille. Let me just kind of see where we're at with show material. There's Brian right there. Brian writes for Dodgers Nation. Dodgers Nation is like the granddaddy of them all here in LA. And when it comes to Dodger fans having a place to be heard and read and listen to voices, and very much appreciate their efforts. I reached out to Brian because Brian started putting out some requests on Twitter and on social media saying, hey, I want to do an article on the all-time Dodger team. And I thought it was interesting the way he was going about it. He was putting polls out there and stuff. So I called him up and said, hey, man, you want to come on the show and talk about, your all-time Dodger team? And he said, sure. So here he is, Brian Robitaille. Brian, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, especially after another win.
Yeah, that was
better.
Yeah. So I got your information that you sent me. I don't know how you want to go through this and stuff, but you basically put together. Let's just, for instance, start with this here. You put together various polls, and then I'm putting up the starting third. You're going to have a little delay, Brian, so I'll kind of talk slow until the stuff pops up for you. But I think you can see it now.
Yeah.
So essentially, at third base, for instance, he would pop up like Ron Say. You would go ahead and what would you do? Pick the most obvious, kind of common choices.
Yeah. So how I went about it was basically, once I started putting this together, I'd go back and I'd go through. Obviously, the Dodgers have a historic franchise, with a bunch of Hall of Famers and great players. So it's hard to narrow them down, and that's kind of why I initiated these polls, just to kind of get the fans' perspective and see where they sit on some of these. Obviously, it didn't mean I was going to pick that necessarily. I was going to go with the fans every time. But yeah, so I'd throw them out. So third base, for instance, you got the obvious choices. I thought when I went back and looked at all the great Dodger third basemen and Ron Say, Adrian Beltre. I did put just kind of a disclaimer out there, a caveat of how to go about which players. I think they had to play at least a good portion of their career with the Dodgers, right, in order to be considered in these polls. So like Greg Maddux wore a Dodgers uniform, Eddie Murray, Pedro Martinez even, but they're not going to wind up on these polls, because
right.
they didn't spend enough of their career with the Dodgers. So I put a stipulation in there, and when I do the article, I think it'll come out tomorrow on Dodgers Nation, so look out for it there. But I put a little stipulation they had to spend at least 5, I think, full seasons with the Dodgers or something. So yeah, I would just get the obvious choices there. So third base, Ron Say, Adrian Beltre, a couple great players, and see where the Dodgers fans stood on them, and see kind of where their perspective. And there was a little bit of a recency bias I noticed. Obviously the more recent players, I think, got the edge on some of, because that's a close one there for third base. But I thought it might be a little bit more spread out than that. With Say was having so many great years with the Dodgers. But yeah, that one was pretty close too. So yeah, that's kind of what I did. Just go from position to position, and
so you did. And so you did polls, and then you kind of weighted it. It's your article, right? So you were going to weight it with the information you were gathered, and then you were going to go ahead and put the team together based on all this information that you put together and put weight on, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I would kind of get a feel from the polls, but then also, you know, look at the data itself and see the actual stats. So no matter, you know, if it's a fan favorite or not, if the stats say otherwise, then, you know, I kind of construct it like that. But I basically, so the goal was to build a 25-man roster like they use today, filled with Dodger players from, you know, their starting lineup, and then a bench, a starting pitching staff, bullpen, and just construct an all-time Dodgers lineup. So that's kind of what I did.
And so, like, let's just look here. So we saw the Say one, and I'm curious. I'm shocked actually that Ron Say is up there. It's been so long since he played, and I guess because Beltre played so much for another team, he didn't get the weight that he would get. But now we're looking here as another example of Maury Wills. And you got, you know, being with Dodgers Nation, you guys get a lot of action on your polls and on the stuff you put out there. But you had 647 votes, which is quite a bit for any kind of poll nowadays. And there you are, 57 people said Maury Wills, who, you know, I mean, you know, Maury Wills has not been around for a long, long time, but Dodger fans remember, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's one of the all-time, you know, great Dodgers. He played a lot of great years. And Davey Lopes, same thing. You know, he was a part of that historic 70s infield there that they had for so long, and he did a lot of good things while he was with the club. So I knew that one was going to be close. I was interested to see kind of where Ken stood on that one.
And this question wasn't necessarily about. You know, this looks like this was going to be extra players here because you got a second baseman here and a shortstop here. So this looks like something you were trying to ascertain who might make a 40-man roster, which we'll look at in a minute here, right?
Yeah, exactly. So so obviously when it comes to the second base, I think Jackie Robinson, a little guy, what was his name? Jackie Robinson, I think.
Yeah,
right?
I can't remember exactly. Jackie, is it Jackie? Whatever. Yeah, Robinson.
Something like that, yeah. But yeah, he was a pretty historic guy that played for the Dodgers that I think would hold down second base. So I didn't even throw that one out there. I figured,
right.
You know, he'd be the starting second baseman. And then shortstop, we had some other Maury Wills I was going to throw Pee Wee Reese with Maury Wills as well, but yeah. So this was going to be kind of like who's coming off the bench there and to make the roster as a middle infielder. So.
Okay, and so here's the last poll that you sent me, and I know you did more, but we're just kind of picking a couple examples here to jawbone about. And this one, Roy Campanella and Mike Piazza. And I'm gonna go out on a limb here, Brian, and say you're a Mike Piazza fan.
I mean, no more. I would say no more, no less than the average Dodger fan, assuming I know what the average Dodger fan is. But I'm not sure. Why do you say that? Well,
because Mike Piazza, he made the final team. He's gonna go in the Hall of Fame as a Met. I don't know. And I have a problem. I have a personal problem with Mike Piazza, and I don't want to get into that right now. Because my personal feeling doesn't matter. But nevertheless, I say that somewhat jokingly. So another example, though, Dodger fans, and I know there's 944 votes. That's a lot of Dodger fans chiming in on your poll. And there you are, Roy Campanella, showing respect for, and this is the beauty of baseball. And I think one of the things that the effort you're doing really brings out about baseball fans is tradition really does matter, doesn't it?
I think it does, especially for a lot of people who appreciate the history of your team and really go back and look and you know, there's when it comes to Dodger fans, I interact with a lot of them on Twitter and social media, and there's so many that are knowledgeable about the past, and they've been fans for 20, 30, 40, 50, you know, whatever. They've been fans all their life, you know, so they know these players, they've heard these players, and you know, I grew up a Dodger fan and learning it from my father about Sandy Koufax and all these great Dodgers. So
yeah,
you know, I went through the years studying them and just kind of looking how dominant they were and looking back at all these great players. So I think there is some of that out there with people really appreciating the greatness of past players. So yeah, like that poll right there, that was one of the closest polls I think out of all of them I threw out, and it was Piazza actually had a small lead. It was like 51 to 49% up until that last day. I think I let him go a couple days on those polls, and then Campy finally pulled ahead there. But yeah, that's another example. Maybe some little bit more recency bias with Piazza being, you know, he's sticking out in the heads of a lot of recent Dodger fans. You know, and don't get me wrong, Piazza, he had great years, but he does, you know, there was he didn't really leave the team on great terms. So
right.
I think that might have played a part in the role too. But if you just looked at stats
They were.
especially offensively. So I mean, it was a close poll. It was a close one, but yeah, it's all can't be pulled it out there.
Agreed. Okay, so let's go now to some of the final results you have. And unless you have a preference, I'm just going to kind of go through them as I kind of stacked them up. Is there a way you want to go through them, or does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter.
All right.
However you want to stack them
So
up.
again, Brian writes for Dodgers Nation. His article's coming out on Monday. You can go on Twitter to Dodgers Nation. His name's Brian Robitaille, and you're all from L.A. So for crying out loud, if you don't know how to pronounce or spell Robitaille, then you're not an LA sport. You're not a Kings fan. That's for sure.
Right.
All right. So let's go. I want to go through all time. Let's save the best for last here. Let's go through all time bullpen. How's that? So we'll go to all time bullpen. And we got Gagne, another guy I have a serious problem with, but I'm going to leave that out of it. We got Kenley. We got Don Newcomb. And this blows me away. Dazzy Vance? How old are you, Brian? Why is Dazzy Vance on this list? And then Claude Osteen. Go ahead.
Dazzy Vance, yeah. So you see, it's a small bullpen. First of all, the reason it's so small, you'll see as we go through the rest of the roster. Now, a normal bullpen would carry at least two other guys, but you'll see why. So, So I mean, when you look at the closers, I think two obviously stick out, and that's our current closer, Kenley Jansen, all-time saves leader and all that, and then Eric Gagne and how dominant he was during his time. So those two were kind of easy choices as far as the back end of the bullpen. Who you actually have, in this. In this kind of theoretical roster, who you would actually have coming in closing games, that I don't think is, it's inconsequential. I mean, you can bring in Gagne, you can bring in Jansen, doesn't matter. So one would be the closer, one would be the eighth inning guy, and hopefully be pretty dominant. The other guys, Don Newcomb was a great starter during his time there in the 50s, had a lot of great numbers. And then, like you said, so Dazzy Vance, if you go back in the history of the game and you start looking back, Dazzy Vance had historic numbers there with the Dodgers in the early 20s and teens, I think it was, and put up, great numbers. So if you're judging players by how they were with their peers, it'd be hard to leave him off the roster. So he did make the roster. There was a lot of tough choices to kind of see who made that, who made the bullpen. I went with typical starters there to close it out. Claude Osteen as the lefty. I think that was one of the polls. I don't think I sent that one, but it was between like him and Jerry Royce, Preacher Rowe and Johnny Padres, all great Dodgers during their time, but unfortunately not enough room to throw them on the roster. But Claude Osteen had a lot of great years too, so he's my lefty out of the pen there. And then the other guys kind of just speak for themselves. They didn't quite make the starting roster, and we'll see why when we go forward. But they're my bullpen guys.
It's interesting, this kind of accentuates the point that, the whole idea of the bullpen and the closer and all that is a relatively new concept. I mean, back in the day, they didn't even keep track of saves. So now you're building this all-time team, and it makes complete sense that you would have to kind of fill it out, at least this portion of it, of the bullpen, with guys who were starters. So that was a good job. Let me see here. So we're gonna go now to let's go to starters. So we'll go here. Now, boy, is this an embarrassment of riches here, this whole starters thing. This is an example. I always say the Dodgers have always been built on pitching, and that's why the organization is one to be admired and envied. So go ahead.
Right.
Joe, tell me a little bit about this list here that you got.
Yeah, like you said, we starters, we're really spoiled, right? So what I did here, you'll notice right off the bat, there's 6 names. So 6-man rotation, right? And we see some of that in baseball today with people, with some certain teams going to it for a short period of time, usually not stretched out through the whole season sort of much. But the Dodgers, they basically did it last year, with rotating guys off the DL when we had 6 legitimate starters there for a while, and they were just basically taking turns on the DL or would skip a start here and there to keep them fresh. And so that's what I did here. I was like, I couldn't choose. I did put one of those, I guess, I don't think we went over that one, but I did put Hershiser and Valenzuela Fernando up there as a pool, and that was another close one. I think Hershiser got a small edge, like 52 to 48% or something, if you had to pick one to fill out the rotation.
Over Fernando?
But,
You're saying over Fernando? That was the one that was tight? Hershiser?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was Hershiser and Fernando, because those were the two
right.
that I was thinking if I was going to go with only 5, those were the two on there because you got to go with Kershaw, you got to go with Koufax at the top, Drysdale and Sutton, and you got to go with them too. They were so dominant, Hall of Fame players. So yeah, it was between Hershiser, Valenzuela, and Fernando had to lead there for a little bit on the polls, and then I think Hershiser came back and got him. But at the end of the day, I couldn't pick. I was like, man, that's tough. They both had so many dominant times with the Dodgers. So I was like, let's just do a 6-man rotation. And what we do is just bump one of those guys to the bullpen whenever you need another lefty. Put Fernando in the bullpen, put Hershiser in the bullpen for a few innings or something. So that's kind of why I did the unorthodox 6-man rotation there.
No, I think that's fair. And since it's all kind of it's your list, so you can do what you want. And I think
right, exactly.
And here's the thing: Don Sutton played 22 years. He played from 1966. He was on the 1988 team that won the World Series. I mean, that guy is, for my money, the most underrated, underappreciated Dodger. That no one really talks about him anymore. Maybe because he punched Steve Garvey in the nose, but whatever. I mean, I think he's a fantastic thing, and I would any other team in baseball would be hard pressed to stack up a rotation like that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I would. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know anyone who would. I would like another team to come out and try and see what type of roster they could develop. But yeah, when it comes to starting pitchers, I mean, Don Sutton is your number 4 guy, and like you said, he had not just great stuff, but the longevity.
Yeah, 22 years. Insane.
So
all right, so let's go to what's next. Let's go to the batting order, if we may. So now we got a batting order, and you'll see it up here in a second. So you got it with and without DH, and so let's just go with DH since it's the additional. The without DH is just a matter of not having one extra player in there. So let's just look at the DH for this conversation. And so you got Jackie Robinson leading off, Zach Wheat, which is an interesting thing. He was a left fielder. 13 years he was the primary left fielder for the Dodgers. 13 years, that's insane. Mike Piazza, you got catching. That's going to be your DH, I'll bet. And then you got Duke Snyder cleaning up, and then you got Roy Campanella catching, and then they got Gil Hodges at first, Carl Furillo. Some people say Furillo. Idiots. And then that's an inside joke. And then Ron Say at third, the Penguin. That's quite an accomplishment by that fella, man. Another guy who all the years Dodgers have been around, he's been the best third baseman. And Pee Wee Reese at shortstop. So go ahead, tell me a little bit about how that came about.
So once I actually got the starters all lined up and who I was going with, it was just a matter of putting them in a batting order here. And I did one with the DH, one without, just because they do some interleague games, and in this hypothetical league or team, I'd just throw another hitter in there and see what the lineup would look like. So yeah, I got one there with the DH. I threw Piazza in because I went ahead and went with Campanella behind the plate, and that's because defense primarily. Campanella's defense was obviously far better than Piazza's was.
Yeah.
So and they were both great with the stick. So top of the order, Jackie. I mean, you can't go wrong with him. He had a great bat. Get on base, steal a base. Zach Wheat, like you said, one of the older guys on the team, along with Dazzy Vance.
But I'm just real quick. I'm thoroughly impressed that you have him on your list here, because I know who he is, and I know enough about the Dodger history to know he belongs on there. But I just can't imagine someone under 85 years old putting him on their list. So.
No, and that's what it gets back to knowing your team, knowing the players that have paved the way and are great players that have played throughout the franchise. So yeah, I mean, you look at what he did during his time. He played, first of all, he played a long time. He played, I think, from 09 or 1910 to 20-something, 26 or 25, I don't know. So he played a long time with the Dodgers. And his lifetime, he had a slash line of 317, 367, the 450 slugging, hit for some power, especially for back then, A couple years he was in the teens in home runs, and that wasn't common back then. No. He stole some bases. So he was a great player during his time. And it was a tough, outfield was another tough call because there were so many to go with.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, with what he did, I had to put him in there. So Jackie, Zach Wheat, Piazza in the 3-hole if we have the DH. If not, then we're going to put Campanella in the 3-hole. And then, Duke cleaning up, obviously. He was the obvious choice there. Gil
Hodges at first. Steve Garvey and Eric Karros are also, their choices were to fill out the roster, but you got to go with Gil Hodges, in my opinion, to at first base. Carl Furillo, he was another tough choice. There are a lot of right fielders to choose from, but he was such a great player for all that time. I went with him and right. And then, the Penguin, Ron Say at third, Huey Reese. Got to go with him at short.
Yeah, no question.
And, that was it. So,
it's funny.
That's the order, I think, for opposing pitchers.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I don't want to speak for anybody, but I know there's a lot of Dodger fans out there right now that just don't quite get why some of these players are on here. But I'll bet dollars to donuts that if Vin Scully looked at this list, he would go, "That's pretty good," because he's seen a lot of these guys and he knows this history.
Yeah.
So
if Vin looked at this list, I'd be honored. But I would love to get his give his input on it. But he's seen a lot of these guys, and even the people he didn't see, like Zach Weed or Jazzy Vance, he knows them.
Yeah. Because that's one generation removed for him. It's not that far for him. It's like us knowing. It's like you, a young man like you, knowing who Garvey is, I guess, or
right.
But my only quibble here is I would take, and I don't want to disagree with. I don't want to turn this into me disagreeing with you because I don't. I think you've done a great job. The only thing I might change, and it's too personal for me to argue, but I just need to say it because I have too many friends that go, "Yeah, you didn't say anything. Well, you know how you feel about that." And I would have Tommy Davis on this team instead of Mike Piazza, but that's just me. But that's a total quibble, man. You rocked it. So
that's what this is for too, to generate debate and generate other people's opinion. There's not going to be one right answer for if you're creating a roster or a batting order for any team. When you're talking the history of the franchise, you're definitely not going to get 100% agreement. So that's what this is for. Get other people's opinions, see where they got, and that's why I throw those polls out there and stuff. So
I hope you get a good response when it's on. So, but I want to keep going here because we got a couple more here. We did the starters, we did the batting orders, we did the bullpen. We got the 40-man roster, but I don't. I think I'm just going to blow by the 40-man roster. Well, let's do the 40-man roster first. So we'll do the 40-man roster real quick. So on the 40-man roster,
if you want to do the full roster,
you're right. I got to do that first, don't I?
There's one that shows the bench players. That way you see who was actually on the 25-man.
Yeah, the all-time team. That one.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Be one that shows.
Okay, I got it. Well, I don't have the one that shows the bench. Did you send it a little late? Anyway, let's just go through it this way.
Okay.
Because I do encourage people to go tomorrow the article's coming out and you can get much more detail in it, right?
Exactly. So
go ahead.
I'll just tell you the bench players. So the bench players are 1, 2, 3, about six more it looks like. So we have Piazza on the bench with Campy starting, and then we went with Steve Garvey, Maury Wills, Raul Mondesi, Sean Green, and Pedro Guerrero got the last one. So those are the bench players that would round out the 25-man roster. And then as you see here up on the screen now, we'll expand it to 40. Rosters expand to 40 in September. Plus, it's a lot more fun when you can include other players and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, that's cool. I like it. I like that you did that. It makes for a real fun conversation if Dodger fans want to kind of sit around and get on their phones and open up your article and just kind of start bantering and throwing this around. It could be a lot of fun for people. So that's cool. So there it is. Added the 40-man roster. You got Karros, Lopes, the forgotten Dodger, Jim Gilliam, Adrian Beltre, Babe Herman, Willie Davis, Matt Kemp, Kevin Brown, Bert Hooton, the knuckle curve guy, Johnny Padres, Preacher Road, Tommy John, he had the surgery, Ramon Martinez, Jerry Royce, a big moose of a man, and Bob Welch. So let's just set that aside for a second. And here we are with the all-time, based on Brian Robitaille and his research, and he's fully willing to admit that you can have your own opinion on this, but he's put some work into it. And so go ahead, Brian. Tell me a little bit about this lineup you got and this team.
Yeah, so those are so basically that's everyone that was on the starting lineup there, and then just going down the list. So I threw for manager, and I thought that would be fun too. Why not? So Tommy Lasorda or Walter Austin, you can't go wrong. Whoever you want to flip a coin with that one. I like Tommy. He's such an energetic guy and stuff. So But yeah, so you got a manager there, catcher Roy Campanella. Like I said, gave him a slight edge over Piazza because of his defense.
Good
But you can't go wrong either way. Even personal feelings aside, Piazza was awesome during his time with the Dodgers. If he wants to be a Met going to the Hall, hey, whatever. Do you, Piazza, whatever. But stats-wise, he was great. But yeah, I still give the edge to Campanella. First base, Gil Hodges. I think that one was, like I said, Garvey was great, Karras was great, but Gil Hodges was the best, I think, first baseman we've had. And second base, yeah, that Robinson guy threw him in there.
And Davy Lopes is a good.
The shortstop went with Pee Wee. Pee Wee Reese was great during his whole time. Maury Wheels was another. It was a kind of a tough one, but I give the nod to Pee Wee. And then left field, like we talked about, Zach Wee. Center field, the obvious choice, Duke Snyder. Right field with Ferrillo. And then DH, you could pick any. You mentioned Tommy Davis. Tommy Davis was one of those bubble guys for me because he had that really great MVP type year.
Yeah.
Like one, then he had another really great year.
That was
but
about
when
it.
you looked at his whole body of work, it was tough. It was between him. I think Willie Davis was on the bubble.
Yeah.
And a couple of the other guys there. But Babe Herman had 5 great years for the Dodgers too in the 20s. So he just missed it. But yeah, I feel you. Tommy Davis was one too. Reggie Smith was another one who missed the 40-man and everything, even though he had a couple good years. And Dusty Baker, I think did Dusty make the team? I can't remember if Dusty made the team. I think he didn't. I think I went with Matt Kemp there because Matt Kemp was so good in his early career with the Dodgers. But again, it's all up to debate, and there's a lot of players you can go with. The Dodgers have a really great franchise, and
some of the pitchers. I mean, basically the pitching staff is pretty much a lock, at least for those top 4. But pretty much all of those, pretty much a lock, pretty obvious. Not a whole lot to discuss. In my opinion, second base, not a whole lot to discuss. Davy Lopes was an awesome player, and then center field, Duke Snyder, and left field, Zach Wheat. Those are the ones to me that are pretty much you can't. I don't think there's a whole lot to argue about there. But the rest of them, open for debate for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, you can't go wrong with a lot of these picks. They're all hard, and that's why when I started the piece, I didn't really even intend to do the polls. Really, I was just going to do it and then see what people thought. But then I threw it out there. I was like, let's see what other people think before I even reveal the roster. See what kind of thoughts they were having, and there was a lot of close decisions out there.
Cool. So now so on Dodger, nowadays you don't have to do it. People can Google it. People can find stuff very easily. But you're going to be on Dodgers Nation. They have DodgersNation.com. They can probably find it on Twitter. You'll probably be tweeting the article out a lot there. And I can totally encourage it. That's a lot of work that Brian did there, and I'm sure it was a labor of love, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was great to do that research. I mean, I knew a lot of the players already, but then going back and being like, okay, well, I know Raul Mondesi was great and Sean Green was great, but who put up Bender numbers? Let me go dig in and see, what their 5-year stretch looked like, their best, stretch looked like over their career. So, but it was good. I found out a lot of. What's one of the most
surprising things that in the process of writing this article that you learned that you kind of didn't know going in, and now you walked away with going, wow, I didn't know that?
Honestly, it was probably just it was probably on so many of those bubble players that you knew their background and you knew they were great players, like Reggie Smith or Tommy John, who had who I didn't even think at first would make the cut. I knew he pitched some years with the Dodgers, but I didn't know if he pitched 5. Was actually appeared in 5 seasons. He did, just made it. And then you look at his numbers and you're like, wow, he pitched pretty good. Came out of the bullpen, but he started a lot too, and he had great numbers. ERA under 3 for multiple seasons. And his lefty splits, his numbers against lefties were just great. So you just look at some of these numbers and you're just like, wow, there's a lot of great players that just kind of get washed away in memory, when you don't think of them. And everyone has personal favorites. Pedro Guerrero was like my favorite player growing up, so he made the 25-man, hopefully not on just bias, but he put up great numbers, and he was so versatile, played all over the diamond and stuff. So yeah, just little things like that when you actually look in, how the players fared, where they played, and then how many years they played for the Dodgers and stuff, and then you remember, you equate that to how the Dodgers did that. You're like, oh yeah, that 78 year,
cool, man. I appreciate you doing all that work, and I think Dodger fans should check it out. It'll be on Dodger Nation, and it's Brian Robitaille, and not just this article. Brian knocks out a lot of good articles on Dodger. How many? I don't know how many writers are over at Dodgers Nation. There's probably Gary's got 6, 7, 8 guys over there, and women definitely.
Yeah.
Gail.
Yeah, we got a few, and we're constantly adding and stuff.
Yeah.
We got about 5, 6 or so, 7 people that we have writing for us, and I've been doing it for a while now. I've been doing it for a few years now, writing there. But it's great. Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff, and we generate a lot of good debate, and a lot of good articles come out of there. So yeah, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, and it's not just Dodgers Nation South there either. There's a lot of places, Frank Talk LA, and then Dodgers Digest. I mean, there's just a bunch of places that what I would call outsiders, places where you're going to get information that it's a little freer, a little more honest, in my opinion. So, anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
No. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I love talking Dodgers, not just my articles, but just Dodgers in general. So yeah, I look forward to being on again, hopefully, and talking more Dodger stuff.
Well, do me a favor, and when you get an article you think would be fun to share with the Dodger, one like this is special. I can't do every article that people write, because I have had people call and say I've written this, and I kind of seek you out because I kind of stumbled along your article. But if you get something that comes up, and then anything else, Brian, you know the number now. You know where we're at. You be a regular caller too. I want to hear your voice, and I value your opinion. So thank you.
No, yeah, definitely. Now I'll definitely try to reach out from time to time and jump on the air and talk how the Dodgers are doing, because there's a lot to talk about, definitely.
All right, Brian. Take care, bud. Thank you.
All right, Tom. Thanks.
You bet. Bye. That's Brian Robitaille. Dodgers Nation, all-time Dodgers team, coming out Sunday on Dodgers Nation. Read the article, check it out, and mainly type in and argue with him. I didn't want to get into it with him there because I wanted him to share the gift that he's created to Dodger fans, which is a lot of hard work. And I really am amazed he had Zach Wheat on there and some of those players, especially because I know he's not a real old guy. So he's not real young either, but to have Zach Wheat on there and some of the players is pretty awesome, actually. It redeems my belief in people younger than me, which I love you all. I love all young people. They're all good people. Old people, too. Hollywood, you there?
I'm here.
All right. So, unless you had something to say about that, I think we covered that pretty good. What was the last thing you and I were talking about?
Well, real quick about that is the only pitching staff. Now, the Dodgers' embarrassment of riches, like you said. Yeah. First of all, I would have went with a 4-man starting staff with the Dodgers.
Okay.
I wouldn't have went up to 6. I'd have just went with 4. And you need an extra starter. Fernando's pretty good. Orioles pretty good, but I would have went with 4. But if you're going to compare, if you want to find another pitching staff, maybe a team's all-time pitching staff to compare, the only team I would say would be the Atlanta Braves.
Oh yeah.
You could go Warren Spahn, Johnny Sain, Greg Maddux, Tommy Glavine, and John Smoltz. That's 5 pretty damn good starters.
Yeah, that's fair. And that's a team that's been around a long time. And you're right. That would be a good one. I'm sure the Yankees, it's never been all about pitching for them. They're the Bronx Bombers. They do it another way. So,
and they have so many hired guns that
exactly. Exactly. You get a guy coming in, hired gun for 2 or 3 seasons. You want to put him on your all-time team, really? And I don't think that's all these players. My big thing, and I'm just going to say it with Piazza and Gagne, is I don't like steroid guys that I feel like took steroids. So I don't think I would put him on my all-time team. But it doesn't matter what I think. I didn't write that article. He did, and I loved it. And I think he's a hell of a writer. And I think he's right. And part of him putting something together like that is creating a conversation and getting people going back and forth and talking about things. So Hollywood, what else?
Well, good baseball articles are not meant to be the end all. They are meant to start conversations. They're meant to start the debate, man. That's what makes a good baseball or good any sports article.
Yeah. I would agree.
In my opinion.
No, I would agree. I mean, I don't Yeah, I like to when I leave an article, a play, a movie, and or something, and I have a question in my head, and I'm questioning things. I really enjoy that much more than that just walking out and thinking, well, that just reaffirmed exactly how I feel. I was right. You know, I already feel like I'm right enough. I don't need to get it from the arts. So,
I mean, I actually prefer things that reaffirm, you know, my opinion.
Of course you do, because that's how you are. You're that way. I'm not.
I'm the young generation. I need my opinion. Well, you know,
all right.
My opinion's got me right.
Well, and this is why so many times when we've had your brain looked at, things just are going crazy. And you know, recently, I don't want to alarm you, but you know, down there in your cerebellum is some sort of anomaly, and then this other one is just getting huge. Pretty soon, your whole brain is going to be 108 stitches in cowhide. So I think you want to be careful about, you know, stuff.
I think those two would have morphed into. I think the big one was small. I don't even want to get into it.
All right. So I'm going to close up shop. It's been an hour and 30 minutes of talking about the Dodgers. It's been fun. Hollywood, I think you and I are on for Thursday after the Phillies series. Maybe we won't run this long. I don't think I'll schedule guests or anything. Because it's 7.
We're on.
Yeah.
But before you wrap this up, I want to go over one thing that Dorothy was talking about.
Okay.
Go back to that.
Yeah, I knew something was about.
Yeah, Mark Pryor immediately comes to mind. But then actually Tim.
Well, can I hold on? Can I just reset up a little bit what you're talking about real quick?
Please do.
So people will know. Dorothy kind of called and said she wanted to know about the psychology of maybe this whole having a good season and then not doing well the next season. And maybe it's a little different for pitchers than it is for hitters, because pitchers maybe are a little more. I can't remember exactly her words. You can go back in the show and watch it. But she got us to thinking it, and I made the point that, well, maybe because pitchers are acting, they're throwing the ball, they're taking the action, and batters are reacting, they're doing something off of what the pitcher sends them, that, you know, their batters have to readjust to what the league is readjusting to the batter. I mean, so that a batter can't, like Cody is having a hard time hitting a high fastball, throw it low, he'll hit it all day long, throw it high, he's not hitting it. So they throw a high fastball, they make the adjustment. And then I started thinking, well, it doesn't seem to me that pitchers are so much like, you know, batters have to the league adjusts to batters, but I don't see that happening to pitchers a lot. The old sophomore jinx essentially thing. So then I asked Hollywood about it, and this is what go ahead, Hollywood.
Well, really, the only people I could find when I was looking are people who had injury issues, with the exception of one, and that's Kevin Millwood of the Braves.
Oh, yes.
I could see his second year where he was lights out, 2.8 something ERA, whatever it was, and then every year after that's 4 something, 5 something. He did have one outlier when he was at Cleveland later on in his career, but numbers weren't strong. But anyways,
what years were those for Millwood? Do you remember? Does it say?
For Mill, yeah, but I already.
All right, that was sometime in the '90s, though, wasn't it? Roughly.
Yeah, it was the late '90s, early. It was like '98, I believe, or something was his breakout year, and then maybe early 2000s.
And I know you do fantasy baseball, and I don't do it, but I did do it back then. And Millwood, man, I stacked up the points when he was hot that one year. And I thought, I'm keeping Millwood, man. And I'll just go after Millwood. And he just got so. That was back when Ankiel, there were certain pitchers that were just great. Now, I guess then they did fall off, but usually you're right, they were injury related. But Millwood was a little letdown.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now that you point out Rick Ankiel, I forgot about him. He was one who just fell off. I remember watching that postseason when he fell off. It was like, I don't know what happened.
I don't either. So that definitely was psychological, because the guy.
He got the Steve Sachs disease at pitcher mound.
Yeah,
you know?
And Chuck Knobloch disease. That's the same thing.
Yeah. But didn't that start with Steve Sachs? I mean, isn't that what people originated? I mean, I'm sure it originated before then, but he's the most famous first case, that I can remember at least.
I agree. Totally agree. So for Dodger fans, we're here 27 Sundays, 18 Wednesdays, and 7 Thursdays. We're working our way through the season. And Hollywood, my sidekick, is with me. Ron Cervenka will sit in with me when Hollywood can't be around, and he's great to have on the show. We're going to be back next Thursday with Hollywood around, I'd say 7:30, because there's a getaway day for the baseball, for the Phillies. It'll be the last game of the Phillies series. And come join us. I know a lot of fans are catching these. I might go back onto Facebook just to kind of testing out what the audience wants. But this was our YouTube broadcast. We had a great guest. And if Dodger fans, if you can get out to Auto Club Raceway, go. It's fun. It's loud. It's noisy. Drowns out the yelling of the kids. They love it. Check it out. And In-N-Out Burger Foundation helps kids. If you get the chance to help them out, do so. They won't ask you, but I'll ask for them. Dodger Fan Weekly, the girls at Dodger Fan Weekly, always helping me out. Basically sponsors this show. Appreciate their support so much. And let's see, my buddy Hollywood. Hollywood, thanks.
All right, thank you, Tom.
All right, so that's it, Dodger fans. We're gonna wrap it up here with a little tune called "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." Oh, come on now, don't do that. There you are. Take me out to the ball game. So we just won the game with the Padres, which means we won the series, which means now we've won 3 series in a row. It's good to be a Dodger fan sometimes, and it's good to be a Dodger fan most of the times. Check out Dodgers Nation article by Brian Robitaille and see about. Let them know if you agree with whether or not certain players should be on the team. And thanks for tuning in, Dodger fans. Remember, I'm not that interesting. You're what makes the show. And if you don't call in and you're not part of the show, then I can't do it all by myself. And I'm going to leave it with this. Go Dodgers. Woof.